Ramadan. So yeah, that's a brief, good intro that will help to understand my presentations here. Sure. So shall I? I will share my screen, Mansa. You have given me the rights. Mansa-san, I could not able to share. Oh, okay, fine.
I've just made you the host, sir.
Sure. I hope my screen is visible. And
Yes.
thanks. Right. So today I'll be probably as to continuing from where Ramasan left. I think you could have been realized I'm telling San. So that's the very first thing for in Japan Japanese language. We all have to learn. So it's a respect, obviously. So I'll talk about what is the importance of language and culture. Then a little bit little bit putting more emphasis on what Ramasan has said, and then some of the opportunities lines down there for non-Japanese graduates in Japan. Okay, here we are putting as non-Japan, sorry, non-science. But actually, in my perception, everything is science. Even though I'm a science and engineering graduate, but I feel everything is science. I picked up from NASA and University of California, Berkeley, what they tell about science. Science consists of observing the world, by watching, listening, recording, and it's a curiosity in thought. We need to some kind of thoughtful action, and how the world behaves. What Berkeley says is it's both a body of knowledge and process. So even though we are all, the most of participants could be non-science graduates, just don't think that science is something great. Science is everywhere. It's not only large books or complex formulae or dizzy diagrams. So we apply science in everyday life, actually. So what I'm telling that, so we keep observing, we keep watching, we keep recording the things. I mean, even this presentation itself, you are, when you think, when you listen, your mind will be analyzing probably. So this is nothing but a knowledge and a process. So all of us do science every day in, day out. So don't worry about science or non-science. So just briefly touch upon what is JCSS Consulting. So we are we do a lot of life cycle projects, support management and research and consulting. For our Japanese clients, I could say like 20% of clients are Japanese clients, and most of, rather all of them are MNC clients. What we do. A lot of keywords here. I don't want to confuse you too much here. We do more of taxation, mergers and acquisitions, advisory, implementation, and it's a 2000 year, which is established almost 20 years now, more than 20 years now. Headquarters in Bangalore with 5 branches in India. Overseas companies, Japan and Singapore, almost 350 plus employees. We have Japanese clients close to 100, and other MNC clients are also there. So down you see the actual buildings where our offices are located. The left bottom is the Bangalore head office building. The middle is the Singapore. Rightmost is the Japan. Something on myself. See, I'll skip this slide because Shriki, Balki, and myself are the key members here, and I'll skip because I've been introduced by Mansa. So what we do again, just to do that orange circles: planning, advisory, corporate advisory, assurance, legal, taxation, and any other like accounting kind of stuff. So these are some of our clients. You will find major Japanese clients, other US clients, and European clients. So I stop here about the JCS. Let's go into the actual part of today's seminar. So the importance of language, culture, to live and work in Japan, not only to work, even to live. So language, I could broadly, divide into 2. One is speaking, the other one is learning. Learning, I mean to say reading and writing. And you could see there are 4 pictures here. I'll give you some 10 seconds to think on these pictures. Okay. So what is this picture conveys? All are kids, small kids, but they communicate. they're still not gone to any schools or any, reading the language, but they're communicating with their mother. So you also just think yourself, I think 60, 70 people, more than 70 are attending today. So when did you started speaking your mother tongue? It could be anything. It could be Kannada, it could be Tamil, it could be Hindi. Just think, when did you started speaking your mother tongue? After going to school or before going to school? After learning alphabets or before learning alphabets? And of course we have multiple languages in India. They're all language on its own. And many of us who live in metropolitan like Bangalore could speak more than 2-3 languages, because we got used, our ears got used to listening to different languages. So by this time you could have realized that for speaking a language we should follow a natural human process. What is that? You have to speak out. Don't shy, and speak. Don't shy. Definitely, if you watch a kid, all the kids will not, right from beginning they talk with proper grammars, proper words, and then they try to communicate with the known words what they know. So if you want to really speak out, speak. Don't shy to speak with mistakes. So you need to create opportunities to speak. I repeat again, you need to create opportunities to speak. And one could be, because the problem here, in India or in Bangalore, is we don't have that opportunity to speak. One could be, going to schools like SNRC, where you get to talk in Japanese with the teachers, with the fellow students, all those things. Of course, yeah, speaking is a natural process, but when you come to learning, again, I give 10 seconds to think about these 4 pictures here. The top picture, the father is teaching the son how to read, or maybe how to write also. So, then the second picture says when you keep writing, it gets you practice. And then the third picture is more of, you need to keep reading books. You need to keep keep reading basically. And then the last picture is a way of communicating. You need to understand, when a person thinks, rather when a person speaks, you need to understand what he's thinking. So that's where we need a learning. Speaking, okay, we can speak, we can communicate, but learning is something more deeper. So learning needs a formal, proper way of understanding. You need to read and write. You need to do at school, not necessarily school, of course, we can do at house. Nowadays, we are all doing from house. So all from work from home, learn from home. So, but there should be some teacher to do that. The proper formal way of teaching should be there. Again, there are so many foreign languages we have. There's Japanese is also there. It's very leftmost at the, vertical it is there. Doesn't matter. So for learning a language, you should follow a structured learning process. That's where SNRC could help all of you. So you need to know reading, writing a language to master the communication. See, again, practice to learn the language, to think beyond what the words are conveying. I probably repeat it 2 times again, I repeated. So what I mean to say is like, when a person is uttering a word, the mind is so fast, it's more than a supercomputer. It thinks maybe 1,000 words where the mouth utters only 10 words. So you need to learn the language, the vocabulary, the grammars, the how to express the communication in order to understand what a person thinks. This is regardless of a Japanese. I'm talking about a language. It could be your own mother tongue. Now coming to culture, Japan and India. So these are all very well known. We all know this Fujisan and how they do the respect. I don't need to explain this. Again, this also you all know that's the people from South India knows this is a Tirupati and then temple, and then we have multiple cultures. Japan and India is similar, but somewhat different. What is that? So if you take, I'm taking few attributes here. If you take politeness, the red symbolically represents Japan. The yellow, which is symbolically not yellow, it's a kind of orange. It symbolically represents India. So the red is the Japan, how Japan is polite. They are very polite. I mean, I want to put 10 out of 10, but then, I just made 9 there. India, yeah, we are polite. I don't say we are rough or we are not polite. We are also polite, but when you compare with Japan, we are not to that extent. and respect. Japanese, I started from san, right? Sama-san, Mana-san. So san, it's even for the kids, they say chan, okay, maybe, it's a kind of polite. So right from there, the respect comes in, how we need to respect the business people, the business associate, the elders, the youngsters, the babies. So respect comes from their culture, from their blood. And timeliness, I think I should give again 10 out of 10. And, so, and where we all know how we stand, because there is a joke one of my friend used to tell in Japan, sorry, in India, 2 minutes means something like 1 hour. 5 minutes, yeah, I'll come in, we'll do in 5 minutes means it's a half a day. If a guy says 10 minutes, it's the next day. So it's something like that, we need to understand. But I used to keep telling my friends, see, 2 minutes is not literally 2 minutes, it's a way of expression, how we do. So that's again, Japanese need to understand that Indian culture, obviously. So now I'm not going into that topic today. So I'm just talking from Indians, how to understand Japanese. Of course, Japanese also need to understand what is Indian culture. So teamwork again. So this is teamwork. Japanese all do with teamwork, and again, we also do, but then we give more focus on to individualism. So that's where we are good in individualism, and we are as a vector, we are different vectors. But then the issue is, in case of you do something, all vectors should join together to become big force, which Japan is good at. Effect, I'm bringing science here in explaining this. Effective planning, So again, Japanese meticulous. See, I didn't write just planning. Planning, we are also doing good. India is also good in planning. But then effective planning is the word I'm using here. So, very meticulous. Japanese are very, very meticulous. But that also make them delay in start anything. And risk taking, of course, we are very good in risk taking. And that's one of the things which Japanese also need to learn, probably. So they're not that risk takers. I don't know whether, this is we need to bridge these gaps, particularly if we have to want to work for a Japanese companies, learn a Japanese language, you want to go to Japan. We need to definitely bridge these gaps. We need to learn to bridge these gaps. Again, there is no wrong, no right in this. It's a culture. See, we cannot say that, okay, you're not risk taking, it's a wrong. No, risk taking, sometimes it is good, sometimes it is wrong. When you're flying a pilot, has to happen something, if you want to take risk, you risk all the passengers' life. So it depends, like how one think about the risk taking, how one thinks about the individualism, how one thinks about the teamwork. So there is no wrong, no right here. I'm going to emphasize, not 2 times, I'm going to emphasize 3 times. There is no not right here. It's a culture. So we need to understand that culture when we want to work for Japan, work for Japanese companies. And same goes everywhere. Even Japanese, when they want to come to India, they need to understand Indian culture. They need to, we cannot just adopt that as it is. And I see, I cannot go to Japan and then, I cannot go on, I can go and say, no, I'm going to work only the India way of working in Japan. Same thing holds good for Japanese. They cannot come here and say that we are going to do entirely Japanese way of working in India. So we need to bridge. That's why I use the word bridge. We have to bridge the gap in a nice way that, we can manage the differences and then take best of that and then, use it for our own benefits, employees' benefit. So to live and work in Japan, okay, we need to bridge the gaps, as I'm keep telling. So, what we need to, how it should be done. We need to express yourself, right, to communicate efficiently. Then for that, you need definitely learning. You need to learn the language. You need to master the language. See, again, fortunately or unfortunately, Japan is it's a homogeneous country. It's not like India. India has different cultures or different origins, right, from Dravidian, Aryan, and we know different languages are there, and we live with that. But Japan is a homogeneous country, monoculture. There is no need for them if you have to live within Japan to learn another language or to learn another culture. But for us, it is a need within India itself. So when we go abroad, definitely we need to learn language and adapt that culture. And the ability to withstand the pressure. Definitely there will be a lot of pressure. When you work in Japan, actually Ramasan slightly covered that. Working in Japan is not easy. So we need to withstand a lot of pressure there. peer pressure, top to down, bottom up, all the pressures will be there. And also you need to have capability to say what you think is right. Of course, Japan is, as I said in my earlier slide, it's a teamwork. The decision is a team decision. But then you have your rights to say what you think is right. It doesn't matter that has been considered or not considered, but you should say that. That will give a lot of value. And ability to stand pressure is as good as develop your self-power to stand alone. So this is a synopsis again, as I said earlier, understanding and respecting the differences is very much important. So getting into the companies, if you want to work in Japan, this may be which you are looking into. Probably I'll try to cover. I mean, again, it's a very huge topic. This itself, we cannot cover everything in 15-20 minutes. Let me try to see a couple of slides here. So I'm giving two pages and a few tips. No, what are the straightforward tips for you? One is normally in Japan we respect which is called T skill. T is an English word. It doesn't. I mean, you need to see the structure of T. Again, Japan, Japanese. It's a pictorial language. Of course, they have hiragana, katakana. There are a lot of kanjis are there. So here T you should see as a picture. So it has a one, horizontal line, one vertical line, right? So what does that mean? Sorry, probably you might not be seeing so clearly this in a small screen, probably. So the vertical line shows it's a specialized knowledge. You should have at least one. I'm telling at least one. You can have multiple. At least one specialized language deep. Then you should have some generic or broad knowledge on other things. Okay, what does that mean? Maybe not many of you understood still. This is a level of expertise. You need to have one, at least some level of, you could be a commerce guy, you could be a language itself, probably. If you take language itself as your specialist, you need to know deep into the language, how the languages come into. Or you could be a arts student. You could have been expertise in your own field, and it's a range of skills which related to that expertise. Okay, still you may be slightly confused. Let me take an example of sales. I took an example of sales because non-science graduates, sales is one of the domain which you get into. So if you take sales, see that T is a vertical line. Sales, the bold sales is there. Under that, there are a few boxes are there. You need to have a very specialized knowledge on business development, account management. Account management here is the client management, cross-selling. See, if you want to go do sales, you cannot just do only one department. You need to know about multiple departments. Cross-sell. Maybe some solution could be cross-sold in different other departments. So you need to have a skill of cross-selling. Pipeline management of your businesses or sales rather. Presentations, you need to have presentation skill. If you are a good salesman, you should be a good presentation skills. And proposals, you need to write a good proposals. And networking. Unless you do network, you may not get the connects. So these are, the specific specialized skills the salesperson should have. But if you see that horizontal line, the salesperson should also know finance. Because he need to work about what is his pipeline, what is his order, how much he's going to negotiate. So you need to know about finance. You need to know about delivery because he is responsible for delivery. Because he's the front end. He need to know about delivery, what's happening in delivery. He need to know about technology. Otherwise he cannot go and talk to the client. He need to know about the marketing ways like blogging, social media, contents, events, emails, CRMs, everything you need to do. You need to know. So those may not be on the deeper side, So probably you need to know that as a general level. So that's the way what I'm telling is you develop a T skill. Now I'll give you again 10 seconds to think on this picture. Note on this picture. So a couple of guys, they're driving the car. And very far end, they're finding it's a cliff. There's no road there. What is the problem here? Why they could not able to identify there is no road after this? Because you see that board, Danger cliff, the board on the right side, middle of that, left of that car. So that board supposed to be there at least a mile away, a kilometer away, so that the driver know that, oh, there is a cliff, there is no road, he can apply the brake. But unfortunately, the name the warning board is at the cliff itself. So obviously they have to fall down. So what does this imply? Openness to employer. You need to give the information well in advance and never at the last moment. And Japanese companies, or even in case of you living in Japan also, not for working also the same, they don't like any information coming at the last moment. I'll tell another example. See, what normally happens is, see, we have a meeting at 11 o'clock. Example, I'm talking about in India. Okay, it's 11:05. We will call we still not reached the place. We will call at 11:05 and tell them that, hey, I'm late and I'll be reaching at 11:15. You don't need to call at 11:05 to say that you are late, because you're already 5 minutes late. There's no meaning of calling at 11:05 that you are late. You should call at least 10 minutes before, at 10:50, and tell that it looks I may get late. I will reach at 11:15. That's the way they expect. So the information, it should be well in advance and never at the last moment. You would do anything last moment, it's a big failure for you in Japan. And then again, this picture. This is a slightly tricky picture. I mean, this is not that straightforward. So this is an eagerness to learn and prove, basically. So you need to learn, right, from not only the language, I'll maybe after a few slides, I'll put it more emphasis onto this. So you need to have emphasis to learn and prove yourself. This picture, you could able to guess what I'm coming to say. The commitment until end. When you start running, you keep finding the hill very far, but if you have a commitment to climb that hill, you have to do until the end. So that's the kind of thing what Japanese employers like. There is some other, maybe a few more I could give you. Again, these are some of the pictures, 4 pictures. I will leave some 10 seconds for you to think on this. First one, easy for you to think. Second is also kind of easy. Third one may be slightly difficult. Fourth, probably you can find it easy, maybe. Let's see what is that. See, okay, as Ramasan also said, you need a Japanese language capability to work in Japan. Not for Japan, working for Japanese companies. At least a kind of N3 level to start with, but should have, as I said in the last slide, commitment to go up to at least to N2 level, not N1, if not. But if you go to N1, well and good. So you need to scale up to N2 in 1 to 2 years time. It's not in your lifetime. You need to scale up that. So that, but you need at least N3 to start with. And then, so this I given hints. I mean, I did explain to you few times. I mean, my previous slides. So you should participate in the meetings and discussions, definitely yes. But of course, your ideas sometimes be taken, many times may not be taken. But why this is? Because everybody need to agree what, it's a consensus. So every decision is taken with a consensus made with all the participants. So you need to understand that very much. But because through consensus, you cannot say that I may not be able to give the what you think. Okay, the third picture, what is it says? I'm using a Japanese word here. It's kind of, there's no direct translation for nemawashi, but you need to think 360 degrees. Okay, if I put an example, something like this, normally in case of major important meetings, let me put it at decision-taking meetings. The decisions never taken in the board. I mean, during the meeting, the decisions are taken much before the meeting. So this is what, how we do that. As you see in the picture, when I want to take a kind of decision, I need to talk to multiple people before the meetings. I need to tell, see, this is what I'm going to do. This is what, kind of probably the decision which we want to take, So then get consensus. Again, it's a indirect consensus of getting everybody. Go to the meeting, say that this is what has been decided. everybody approves it. Nobody, no one argues at that meeting point of time. So this is just an example I'm telling. The nemawashi is there in everywhere in Japan. So you need to do the nemawashi for acceptance of. In fact, in India also we do that. We do that, we talk to different people. Even in our personal life, we do that. Okay, so even your mother could have done with your father. If you, when you're a kid, if you want to do something, your mom will do nemawashi to the father, saying that, okay, my kid is asking this, that, and then why not you do this. So this is again, it's just nothing but a nemawashi there. So finally, you need to develop a negotiation skill in each and every aspect. You need to be a very good negotiator. Again, for all these, you need the language. So those are those tips which from my experience I have given to you. And a couple of slides I'll touch upon work culture. I think we have a few more, under 15 minutes probably. So work culture is, there how it goes. You can go through this also later. Is loyal to company. And you might have heard that when somebody joins as a fresher, until retirement, they are in the same company. So where that's something different from what we do, including me, obviously. So believe in teamwork.
Again,
something like believe in teamwork, and I have discussed this. So I'm skipping this. Then process oriented. And no one deviates from the defined work process. Everything is process. See, in Japan, when if you'll realize that in the railway crossings, when the bell rings to close the gate is not like a big gate like ours. It's just two sticks. So people all stand at least some 4 or 5 meters away from the gate, and nobody want to cross, and nobody want to cross after the gate closes. So these are all kind of process oriented. I'm just giving a very, very simple examples to you to understand. And proper documentation. So each business communication should be very much documented. And of course, they are perfectionists. That takes long time for them. Anything to get perfection is it takes time. And seniority system, of course, they not like US, where it's still their seniority system. Bottom-up communication and long-term business plan. So everything is long-term there. Some business ethics and customs. So, again, probably I might be repeating here. I may skip this. Only some of things I want to do just on time. And then, talking over mobile phone in office is considered very, very impolite. Even the trains, you forget about the work. Even in the train, when you can talk in the mobile phones in the trains also. So, and it's a common practice to do overtime till late at the night. That's what I said somewhere in my earlier slide. You should withstand the pressure. And after working hours, meetings are very frequent, and we exchange gifts and formal informal occasions, very common. Dress code is mostly formal, but nowadays it has become very kind of semi-formals, and people do accept semi-formal. So without boring too much, probably, so let me touch a few opportunities what you can find as a non-science and non-engineering graduates in Japan. Again, Rama-san also touched upon this, why Japanese companies are good to work. They provide long-term career opportunity. Definitely, yes. So they look for very, very long-term. And, accordingly, the seniority system plays there, and you get pay based on that. And of course, if you do overtime, they also pay for overtime, no doubt on that. And, there is a proper career growth path is provided to you. Salary standards are high, and of course, when I compare Asian countries. Basically, we cannot compare to US. US is much better, and but if you take Asian countries or some of the European countries, yes, the salary standards are high. Company policies are employee friendly, highly employee friendly, and it gives opportunity to develop yourself. So what are some of the on the ground real, maybe these are a couple of slides which you're looking for all this 1 hour now. So, some of them, okay, this is, I'm assuming that you're all non-science graduates. See, again, as I said, my definition of science is something different. But fortunately or unfortunately, as Rama-san also said, to get into Japan or to work into Japan, they need kind of graduation certificate. So you need to something on that. And, so this opportunities, one is, again, providing, the language, coordination jobs. These coordination jobs where it will also help you to bridge those gaps, which I explained in one of my previous slides. So you need a Japanese language skill definitely for this, preferably N2 level, and definitely not below N3. And if you are N3 and good at speaking, see here, coordination job needs speaking and may not much writing, because nowadays we use laptops to do that, but you need to read and understand. And but language is very important. Speaking is very important. Sorry. So various projects are there, works between India and Japan. Some of them is supported by Ramasan in his slides. So again, they're right. We need to do the coordination job. We need to have business understanding. So how the businesses work, of course, if you don't understand the business, it has become an interpretation job. The interpretation coordination is entirely different. It looks similar, but it's different. Interpretation, you don't need to think anything about the domain or about the business. It's a machine basically. Nowadays, Siri is, in Apple gives Siri. There are a lot of translation softwares and interpretation softwares has come. So interpretation, translation is one of the job, but then you need to think about coordination jobs, where you give your value-added thinking, value-added service there. But again, to do this, you need to know language. Language is the basic things for this. Some of the soft and hard skill job I'll probably list up here. Some soft skill job, as I said in my T skill example, sales support. Definitely N1 level, if not N1, at least N2 for this. Because when you go to the sales, you have to talk to Japanese, buyers, and it will be intense communication, and very, very, very fluent, very good fluency should be necessary for that. Then finance, if you're an accounting graduate, if you're a commerce graduate, finance is one, administration. But the here is, you cannot just go into a Japanese company and work as a finance executive there. It's because the way of their, accounting standards is something different. It may be a little difficult to understand initially. I cannot say no. But you can go to Indian companies. There are quite a few, rather quite a lot of Indian companies in Japan, or Indian companies in India who work for Japanese companies. So those companies, you can go there, and then a non-Japanese MNC, not only Indian. When you are looking into Japan, you can look into any other non-Indian companies. MNC, maybe a Singaporean company, maybe a Malaysian company, maybe a US company itself. So there are such opportunities out there. And hospitality, here I'm telling the hotels and kind of stuff, tourism, travel, may not be good now due to Corona, but then it's a very, very short-lived Corona problem. Maybe next 1 year, 2 years, it maybe should be okay. So hard skill jobs, something non-engineering, non-IT related. For example, manufacturing, you can now, Japan has relaxed a lot of visa regulations where you can go as a, ITI guy, ITI student, for example, can go for a assembly line in the manufacturing, which was not possible 3-4 years back. Now they have opened it up. Agriculture is another, we need to learn a lot of technology there. I mean, for agriculturalists, and back-end BPOs are there, something like that. Some special skill jobs like advisory, consultancy jobs, Japanese companies for strategizing India market entry. Again, you cannot get this from day one. Definitely, yes, I can hear. Slide. So if you are a researcher, and not necessarily again a science researcher, you could be if you are a researcher, you can do the market research opportunities. Many Japanese companies, some are already in Japan, India, and many wants to come to India, but they want to know about particular their product or their services, how their product is going to be marketable in India, how the services is going to be taken up in India. So they want to do a lot of market research here. And we are Indians, we know about India, we know in consumer mentality. So we can, once you you know some good Japanese, then if you're a researcher background, you definitely take up such kind of market research opportunities. And of course, I'm here putting just not translation, I'm putting a technical translation. See, nowadays Google Translator is doing very good, wonderful job, but you need to beat the Google Translate, right? So you need a kind of technical translation, specialized translation. For example, patent translation, legal document translation. A lot of scope is there in Japan, because these people are very less. So get again, this is a T skill. What I said in translations, if you are taking translation as your career, get patent or legal as one of your vertical line of the T. So that's again, and then trade consultants, trading between Japan and India, or Japan and elsewhere. And some language-oriented job, of course, translation and teaching kind of jobs are also there, which are low-hanging fruits. Maybe you can try from those low-hanging fruits, go into coordination jobs and get into some of the soft skill or hard skill, then get into specialized job. That could be the route where you can think about. Let me put few other opportunities. Maybe of course I have told in my last slide. It's not necessary that you should go Japan and work in Japan. You can work for the companies, Indian companies who work for Japan. Like for example, ours itself, maybe it's not a PR. For example, JCSS, I told we have 90 plus, close to 100 clients of Japanese clients only. So we definitely need people, and we are a non-science company. That's why I wanted to say that in the initial itself. JCSS is non-science, non-engineering, but we have so much clients, Japanese clients. So such opportunities are there for you people to work. And Japanese companies are already here. So those companies that could be one initial stepstone for you to start working. And then look for a good opportunity, not only in Japan. Once you get into work getting work used to a Japanese work environment, being in India, then you can look to go either to Japan or see Japan to India. Many Japanese companies are going to African countries, for example. And many of them think that India is the kind of hope center for them. Japan to India, India to Africa, something like that. Many of the Indian entities, Indian subsidiaries of Japanese companies focusing on to African countries. So that could be one excellent opportunity. Don't just think about Japan. Think out of the box. That's my next point. Think out of the box. Do what others are not doing. When 10 of your colleagues wants to go to Japan, why not you go to South Africa? Excellent country. Middle East. So you can think about those where, again, Japanese companies, where Japanese is language and your skills are needed. So I talked about agripreneur. I mean, we coined this word as agripreneur, agri-entrepreneur. And a lot of things are there to mechanization, because India is still 45% to close to 50% is agriculture economy, right? So many other things we can do in India with agriculture collaboration with Japan. And develop your skills doing jobs. Okay, this I think I have told in my explanation. So the same thing which is I'm putting in my picture here. So first you learn your language, then not career, once maybe it's good for when you're in early 20s or mid 20s. When you're in your 30s, you definitely need your skill, because when you're in 30, there's some other guy from 2025 will have the same language skill. You will excel between them, so you need to develop your skills. We're at the bridge. I mean, that's symbolically I'm putting that. Develop your skills and be an expert in whatever the skill you are. Again, I'm touching the T concept here. Then you're automatically are welcome to all top companies of Japan, not only in Japan, all over the world. So why Japan has such opportunities? Of course, Ramasan also touched upon this. Maybe something what you told is like demographic changes, talent gap. Because this we could have, many of us heard this. Japan, it's becoming the population, old population, or many now. So obviously young people are very less. So there's a talent gap. Unless young people are there, you cannot run the economy itself. So there's a market gap is also coming in. So one of the, Mizuho Bank has done a survey with the Japanese companies in Japan. Almost 50% of the employers says they're facing shortage of talent. A lot of government initiatives, changing immigration policies, as I said earlier, and of course, the population itself is shrinking. So the domestic market is declining. There's a lot of deflation, and so the companies in Japan have to globalize. So they are going abroad from Japan. So many, and of course, there is a foreign companies coming into Japan also, because there are a lot of M&As happening now in Japan, mergers and acquisitions. Many SMEs are getting acquired by foreign companies where opportunities there. That's why I put it this point here. And many, most of the, I could say, mid to SMEs are something difficult, may not be cash rich, but mid to big companies are cash rich. They do a lot of investment. One of that is acquiring the talent, investing in the talent. So there is a large opportunity for you guys to, go to Japan. I mean, work for Japanese companies. So probably I will skip this. I think I am maybe running out of time. This is something difference between work culture Japan and India. I could have covered most of the thing. Only thing which I haven't covered is some keywords like Kaizen and all this kind of stuff, where if you key in Kaizen in Google, you find thousands of explanations there. So I skip here. So what are the challenges? Of course, communication, as you realized all through my presentation. Then cost of living, Japan, and of course they pay good, as I said, they pay good, so you can mitigate that living cost. Slow decision making, as I said earlier, and that's only because of a consensus, because they go through consensus. If you understand why it is slow, then you will go along with them, probably. But of course, the too slow, we may have to, if you could do something catalyst that to make it faster, why not? You can contribute that. And process-oriented culture, which I covered, less scope to handle personal issues. I think all I covered, so I'll just skip this. So, okay, so being I was there for 30 years, I am in all my life more than half I was, I'm Indian, so I feel more like a Japanese. So let's support Japanese economy, and it's mutual benefit for us also. So this is a very latest, again, this from, I think it's also from Mizuho Bank, probably, during the pandemic, how things are happening. It's the right side graph is comparison between last year's May 2019 and March to May of 2020. Obviously, the rightmost in accommodation and food has gone negative, huge negative. Lifestyle entertainment has gone negative because of lockdowns in Japan also. Some in April, almost 1.5 months was lockdown there. Manufacturing, so all that, see. Then if you see, come to the finance, insurance, ICT, academic research, medical welfare, construction, they're all still positive compared to last year. It has grown even in the pandemic. So finance insurance is one which I'm touching about in my last slides also. ICT is information communication technology. Research also I touched up in my presentation. And medical and welfare, of course, because of Corona, obviously. And construction, interestingly, there is no negative there. So, and Japan, of course, has got quickly into back to normal, and it's almost normal there. And we know why it is, because of their way of handling the pandemic. Job security, life security, again, Ramasan touched up this, so maybe I may skip this. So only thing what I can say is attractive social security benefits. For if you're an employee there, you have very good social security benefits, insurance, pension. Now between India and Japan, there is a pension scheme, because if you pay, let's say 5 years you paid pension in India, then you go to Japan and you work there for, let's say 10 years, you paid pension there. The continuity, again you come back to India, the continuity can be kept. So earlier it was not that, almost like this all came only 5-6 years before. Earlier it was not there. So job security we touched about, living standard we touched about, excellent public service, Ramasan also said, very good railways and all those things. Apart from that, of course, healthcare and municipal facilities are excellent there, much better than our private hospitals in India. So many Indian schools are there now, many Indian schools are there, and of course Indian schools are also there for you if you want to move your family. So what I could say is, like, working and living in Japan brings perfection into you. So I'll write and give it to you only if you want to become perfectionist. You will stay long in Japan. If you don't like, you want to become perfectionist. I've seen many of my colleagues, many of my friends come to Japan. They work on 2 years. They don't like the way there, and then they jump either to any other countries or come back to India. So if you are living there at least 5+ years, you will live for there for more than 10 years, 10, 20 years. So, and what I'm also want to say is like, okay, don't just stay there and come back to India, bring back, or it's not just to be only in Japan. I'm telling about Japan, but this also holds good within India. If you're working for Japanese companies in India, learn this perfection and implement them, bring that back to your house, bring it back to your friends, bring back to your other working community, practice that. So these are good things. I mean, there may be definitely a lot of negative things, minus points, leave out there itself, but only bring the positive ones. This again, Ramasan has showed this also. So there are many Japanese companies here. Slightly figures different. Mine is slightly old one. I taken October 2019. Sorry, it's almost a year old. Ramasan's was much recent one. So the point here is, there are many Japanese companies here. There are, I mean, on the company wise, close to 1,500, and establishment wise 500. What I mean to say is like, for example, Fujitsu is there. Fujitsu is one, but they have one Fujitsu Consulting, Fujitsu India, Fujitsu Bangalore, Fujitsu Pune. A lot of establishments are there. All put together, Fujitsu itself maybe about 10, 15. If you take Fujitsu as one, it is one. That's what the red one. So there are many companies out there, many opportunities out there all over India, and in Karnataka also, in South India particularly. So I wish you all take this opportunity, and